and welcome to 10-Minute TTRPGS, a show where every episode I try to create a game in less than 3 minutes. We flesh it out and then we give it a spin. But first, every episode I also answer a question about game design before we get started. So let's look at today's question. What is your fave game system and why? I know I picked these questions from frequently asked questions that I've gotten and what I've seen people be interested in, but it's a really difficult one, and I wish I'd put it further back, but here we are. My favorite systems, this is still going to be a systems answer, not a system answer, because I find it personally impossible to pick just one. In the big ones, the big names, the people will probably know, my favorites are City of Mist and Pathfinder. Personally, I like the flexibility in both. I like how much they cover. I feel like they have a good balance between guiding a player, even also a new player, through exploring all of the ways you can be creative with TTRPGs as the player, but also they leave you breathing room, which I really like. I also really like how combat works in Pathfinder. I've had nothing but really excellent experiences, but that is because I have had seriously excellent game masters for when I've played Pathfinder. So I do think that that's also a part of it. But yeah, I think they enable and encourage a lot of creativity. But something further and deeper in the indie space, I do have a top 3 of games where I'm just chef's kiss design. I love it. I think it's creative. I think it's fun. I think it's engaging. I think it's novel. I think I really like when something has a balance of holding you by the hand enough that you are not lost, but letting you explore enough that you are not, you don't feel bogged down by the rules. So that would be Play Ball by Ro Caulfield. I love you, Ro. I love Cutthroat by Candy Jean. A fucking beautiful game. I mean, I think everybody who follows my work outside of this is well aware that I love that game and that I find it deeply inspiring. It is the engine with which I've designed my first, quote-unquote, medium film, AP short film horror hybrid thing that I hope to finally film this year. And then finally, the third is End of the Line by Euredia Games. I just think that each of them has something that every time when I read it for the first time, when I've played them, they made me take a breath. I had a fanfiction moment between me and the design of this game, where I've just been oh, and then immediately followed by that's so creative, that's so cool, that's so new, that's so different. With Play Ball, I got to be in an AP for Play Ball, a little promotional and playtest one shot, and it remains to this day one of the best, most cinematic, creative, gorgeous, immersive APs I've ever done. And when we recorded it, they had turned the electricity off in my home, and it was very cold, so it was not safe to stay there, so I had to go to a friend's house, and I was still booked to do this show at that day, and so I had my crappy little laptop, and I was sitting on the floor in a glorified closet / converted from closet into guest room space. The lighting was awful, the acoustics were horrible, I had none of my equipment with me, my tech, and still it was the most immersive, wonderful, because the game was so good. I wasn't worried about anything else. I didn't even have the bandwidth to think about anything else because I was so happily engaged in playing this game and performing in this game. And it's just, it's also just an absolutely wonderful memory for me. Cutthroat, like I said, I've found deeply inspiring. I think it is so versatile. I think playing it in its original state is beautiful. I think there's endless replayability. I think that if you wanted to adjust it or hack it, as a horror fan, if you wanted to lean into one genre more, if you wanted to theme it via a franchise to different rooms instead of different types of horror, or different types of cinema, or different types of stage, there's so much you can do with it. I think it's really beautifully structured. I think I think it's beautiful. And then end of the line, to me, I mean, I love an indie adapted IP. I loved the mechanic of, like, I love how psychologically challenging, and not like in a like serious, you're gonna break your mind way or whatever the fuck, but like, I mean, like, I love how much this game uses human psychology, it kind of feels like, as like a part of the mechanic of like you having to like, you were trying to get rid of like death's like grip on you by like killing somebody else, and you are not necessarily going to be playing someone who finds that easy to do. And I think having to deal with like being in character while also pursuing this goal that might be very against your character or might be very in your character, like I think that games that play so heavily into the character creation aspect as like a mechanic, which it is, I think are really extremely cool, extremely, I keep saying creative, but like they just are, they're so creative. So yeah, links will be in the description to all 3 of those games. Please get them. I'm pretty sure you can get them all for pay what you can, although don't take my word for it, I cannot remember off the top of my head. But you should, I know you can get them for free, and you should get them to make sure that you can check them out. But like, if and when you can, please give them some money. When I can, I will be giving everybody so much money. I have like a long list of people to throw money at once I have money to throw. But please do support them. They're all really amazing designers and amazing people. So if you are new here, you might not know yet exactly how the rest of the flow is going to work, so I'm going to let you know. So I'm going to use a like title generator. We're going to go back to the Michael Clamorous one on Itch, which is an indie TTRPG generator. And we're going to get a random title. I'm going to have a little timer, and we're going to go through some set questions that I have, and we're going to create like the outline and stuff from a game in Scratch in like 10 minutes or less. And you can also do this because I will link the title generator that I used in the description of this episode, but also you can design along with me. So I want to see what you come up with. You can make your own games from the prompts, and I would love for you to share them with me at The Cutest Patoot on Twitter. It's also at The Cutest Patoot on Instagram. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, I would love to hear about it in the YouTube comments. So please show it to me. I also have a Discord where you could share the game doc or the link to the game doc with me. So please share it with me if you feel comfortable, if you want to. And if you want to, I would also feature it on my socials, share it with other people. Because I think it's really, really cool when people create along with this. You can kind of maybe use my questions to help guide you a little bit, kind of like hold your hand if you're new at this game design thing. And this is what the show is all about. I want to help you guys and kind of demystify the game design process. So today's game is going to be Goodnight Desert. Goodnight Desert. Goodnight Desert? Goodnight Desert. Oh, it says Goodnight Descent. Okay, I'm not wearing glasses, but actually we're going to go with Goodnight Desert because that's what I thought it was initially. So we're going to hit play. Well, we're going to write this down. Goodnight. Okay, my handwriting is really ugly. If you want to see the pictures of like what these games look like, you can absolutely check that out on my Ko-fi, where I post the pictures of like what my handwritten notes look like. And if you can't read them, I'm so sorry. But if you really are curious, you can pick up the, free or pay what you can Google Doc, or PDF of the game, so that you can actually see. So we're going to start with the first question, and we're going to hit start on the timer. 10 minutes now. So what is the premise? And like, what's the end game versus like where you start? So Goodnight Desert, I think. Okay, so my roommate recently watched the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I have never seen them. I will never see them. I love horror, but not that. Not that. That like legitimately scares the fuck out of me. I have a lot of like lucid dreams, and I don't like more shit influencing them. With chronic nightmares, I don't want to do that. However, I have like always since I was a little kid, because I have chronic nightmares, liked to kind of try to like fix my nightmares and fix my dreams when I have them. So maybe this desert, like the Goodnight Desert, is maybe like a place you go when you're asleep. So maybe the premise is you start the game by falling asleep, which, like, obviously, your character falls asleep. Please do not you fall asleep. Although, like, that would also, if you could gamify napping, I would absolutely do that. You know what? I probably could, but I'm going to get distracted. So the end game, I think, is like you fall asleep, you have a dream, maybe a nightmare. Oh, maybe you have a nightmare and you need to fix it. Okay, you need to fix your nightmare. So that means maybe there's, like, a table with, like, nightmares. You can also, of course, come up with more. Table of nightmares. Okay, this is quickly delving into, like, low-key, like, I don't know if this is both therapeutic and horror or, like, one of the two, but I think maybe this is, like, you are going into this place, this liminal place, and you have to fix your nightmare. My handwriting is so ugly, oh my god. Okay, so the end game is you need to have fixed this nightmare maybe before you wake up. So you need to fix before you wake up. So maybe that means that the game is timed. So how do you get there? GM versus no GM. Okay, so I think that this is GM'd. So I think this is like a 2-player game. So like a 1 player, 1 GM. So this is a GM'd game. We love that. And the GM is maybe like the nightmare, like orchestrator. Like you are the NPCs. You are guiding this person through fixing their nightmare. I've done this before, like 1 GM, 1 player games, like in Forever 41. So I've done that before. So who we play as. So there's like this. So the character creator part I think will be like more sparse than the like action part. So I think we're going to use 1d6 for actions of like how to fix it. And maybe there's like, so we need like a success table, obviously. And then I think, okay, so let's go back to the character creator. So who do we play as? We play as, this is, if we're going horror, I don't know. I hesitate to include really like kids in my character creator. I think probably because I've had like personally like bad experiences at tables where people played kids and it was in a way that was like not super compliant with like the boundaries that we had set. And like obviously those games got like stopped and stuff and like we do not interact or play with this person anymore, but I think that it kind of left like a bad taste in my mouth. But this is a 2-person thing. So this is a lot more control over it. So I think maybe we can include that because I have had chronic nightmares since I was a kid and clearly I am not like totally out of my mind or anything. So I think, well, I mean, that's debatable, but I think maybe like we have like, if we're using the D6, we have like a set list of like people in different situations. So like, like maybe you're a kid and this is the first nightmare you've ever had, maybe, or this is like maybe like a recurring nightmare that's been happening this week since you watched a scary movie. Maybe you are like 87 years old and you still have nightmares of high school. I'm not gonna lie, I've had at this point more nightmares about high school than I've actually spent time in high school, which is crazy. That's so weird. It was very jarring to realize. So I think character creation, we're gonna have like a chart of like who we play, to start you off, set list of like types of person. Then we have like maybe like each of them has like a comfort item. I think if you want to use your comfort item, you can maybe use it like 1 time per game as like an instant success, but in like an action, but it has to be used before the end. Maybe it cannot be used maybe before. Maybe it has to be used in like the process. Yeah. Okay. So you have like a comfort item that like also you roll maybe, because I think that like, I think the randomness of the roll, I think letting the dice tell you the story of how you're starting is kind of more of a challenge, a little bit more, forced you to be a bit more creative as to like how to connect who you are with your comfort item. I think with 1d6, like you have to try to fix the nightmare. And by fix, I mean like make it not scary anymore. And for some people, it can be to try to diffuse it, or it could be to try to vanquish like whatever like the fear is or the monster is, I'm not gonna lie, I have had nightmares where like I could not figure out a way to like finagle it so that the scenario was better, and I have like legitimately just like been like, okay, how about this? I imagine I take a Glock, I shoot the monster in the face, and it worked. So I think there's like there's a lot of problem solving in this. So like this is very heavily on problem solving. You have a timer. The GM will have like maybe the GM has like a table also of like to help them like kind of move things along. They have like a table of like things like obstacles. So they have an obstacle table, you know, that can be like about like the setting changing, because it is the dream world, this desert, you know, this is a liminal space, so many things can change. Setting changes and NPCs, and like general like nightmare fuel, you know, some like body horror things that could happen. Like maybe something happens to like an NPC that was like with you or that was harmless, where like suddenly they have like, I don't know, like tentacles for eyes or whatever, you know, and like you have to deal with this. You have to try to make it less scary within the time. And like maybe like you kind of take turns rolling. Okay. So you are going to go to sleep. You are who you are. You have your comfort item. You go to sleep. You wake up in the Goodnight desert. And then, like, the setting changes dramatically. Okay, so, like, I think we should also have a table of, like, settings to go with it. So you have the nightmare scenario, which is, it's, like, a scenario that could apply or be put into any setting because we have dream logic here. So we've got a physical setting, we've got a table of nightmares, we've got a table of who you play, we've got a table of comfort items, and then the GM has a table of obstacles, and this is a timed thing based on problem solving with a failure and success table with a d6. And time, 2:27 minutes left. So let's pitch it. Goodnight Desert, a problem solving 2-player TTRPG where you start by falling asleep. And your goal is to fix your nightmares. So you roll a table to determine your nightmare. You roll a table to determine the setting. You roll a table to determine who you are and your comfort item. Now, of course, you're playing this at your own discretion. So if you do want to choose one of these, if you feel particularly inspired by one of them in the moment, of course, you can choose them as well. But if you want the dice to tell your story entirely, you can roll all of these things with 1d6. You only need 1d6. There's a simplified failure success table. And then, so like, you know, like 1 to 2 failure, 3 to 4 complicated success, 5 and 6 unmitigated success, just complete, like, totally smooth, but like, you know, I have to play it out. You go to sleep, you and the GM take turns. The GM is painting the story for you, figuring out how these things, how this nightmare in this setting looks for you. And as you attempt step by step to solve this nightmare, to ease the strain of this nightmare, to turn it into something completely harmless, the GM is rolling obstacle tables. Now, the obstacle table does not always add something horrific to the nightmare, but it can, and you'll have to deal with it either way. This can be that the setting changes, that an NPC becomes nightmare fuel, that there is body horror, God knows what. This is a horror game. Please use safety tools. You have a set amount of time before you wake up, before your alarm goes off. And dream time is different from real time. So maybe in real time, this is 8 hours of sleep. But in this game, maybe it's 10 minutes. Maybe it's 20 minutes. 20 minutes feels a little bit more realistic. 15 minutes feels like maybe the timer is really up your ass a little bit. But I do want people to have time to, like, verbalize things. So I think I'm going to make it, like, 20 minutes. So it's 20 minutes. And while the timer is running, you guys are basically racing against the clock to see, you know, do you wake up and you defeated this nightmare? Or do you wake up haunted by almost defeating the nightmare? Or do you wake up and the nightmare is still clinging to you? What the fuck? Every time I make every time I do the show, every single time I do the show, I start off with like a little anxiety because I'm like, oh my God, why do I do this? Because I'm always like, oh my God, what if I will never be creative again? What if this is it? What if we're 3 episodes in and I just have nothing left? And then like we do this on the format that I literally designed for this purpose, that I've tested a billion times, that always works. And I have something at the end where I'm like, this is actually really fucking cool. And I'm like, I just did it and I heard myself do it, and I will like, and I'm here doing this, and I'm still at the end, like when we get to the pitch part, I'm like, huh? How did I do this? So I'm gonna take the picture of the ugly ass scribbles. And I'm going to type them up so that I can actually read them off clearly. I'm going to fill out the tables more from the notes that I have. So I have like a couple like settings and stuff listed, but I'm going to write out actually nicely. And then we're going to play it. We're going to test play it. I'm going to be playing both the GM and myself, as I do when I give these tiny little mini play tests. And then it'll be up to you. Now it's time to see how it plays. It's time to get out my dice. Today I am using which dice? Let's see. I'm going to pull one of the dice out of the bag. Ooh, okay. Ooh. I knew it. It was only a matter of time. Anyway, today we are playing with my lesbian dice from Die Hard Dice. Now, where is my D6? That's really the big question. There we go. This actually set came with 3 D6s in this set because they're gorgeous. So we are playing with the lesbian flag dice from Die Hard Dice, kept safe and snug in my custom Eris Savad dice bag. This is not sponsored. I just love Eris and Eris's products very much. You can also get an Eris Savad dice bag at erissavad.com, link in the description. Eris Savad, bags, dice, trays, jewelry, handcrafted products made with eco-friendly practices in a home studio. And if you head on over, you can follow at Stitched by Eris on Twitter, and you might get to see some previews of what she's working on. So this format might be kind of familiar to you if you listen to Quick Start, which is another show of mine. We're going to roll to kind of test the character. We're going to play around as both player and like GM. We're going to see what kind of story comes up. Now, this is actually a timed game. I did set this game to have a timer for like 15, 20, or 30 minutes, depending on how you'd like to play. And so because this is just like a little mini thing, we're not going to time this, but I'm just going to go as rapidly as I possibly can to kind of mimic the rapid fire back and forth within a timed game. So let's read a little bit of the intro. You close your eyes, you fall asleep, and you wake up in the Goodnight Desert. The Goodnight Desert is the liminal space within which all dreams live, and all nightmares. Like this one. Hi. Hello. You're in a nightmare, and unfortunately, just waking up is not an option. So we're going to roll 1d6 to determine the nightmare's initial premise. I got a 3. Okay. Ooh, your high school bully. Why is this happening to me? Your high school bully is coming for you in front of everyone you respect and care about, and they will not just let you get away. That's great. My high school bully was a group of girls that called themselves the Blondies. I think you have the correct image in your mind. And they did not indeed let their targets just get away. Obsessive dicks. Anyway, so we're going to choose 1d6. Also, we're going to roll 1d6 to determine the initial setting of where this absolute fucking horror is happening. 5. Okay. 5. A wedding venue. Oh no, sorry. Your wedding venue on your wedding day. I'm not married, but I can certainly imagine one. Anyway, when you play as like fictionalized kind of self-character, you know, there's a lot of wiggle room here. But actually, before that, let's figure out who we are in this dream, because you're not always yourself when you dream. You're not always exactly your real life self when you dream. So let's see what happens. I'm so scared. What is this gonna be? Girl, why would you do this to me? 3. 3, a sentient beanie baby of your choosing. So I am a sentient beanie baby of my choosing. I'm gonna go with my, an absolute long time, like, beloved of mine. I actually recently painted a picture of one, is Smooches, the frog, the little 90s beanie baby frog. I used to have one. I do not anymore, which I am extremely, extremely sad about. I really, really miss them. But Smooches the frog, beanie baby. I am a sentient beanie baby. You can move and everything. At my wedding venue on my wedding day, and my high school bullies are coming for me in front of everyone I love and care about. Now let's roll to determine what my comfort item is that I'm bringing with me. Some of these are like very like, you know, they could go either way, and some of these are very silly. I'm actually kind of glad that when we're playing this, it gets kind of silly, because this can also get quite dark quite quickly. Not that it can't still. So number 5, A remote-controlled toy car. Well, since I'm a sentient beanie baby, Smooches, the frog, the toy car is probably pretty practical because I know this is dream logic and I can still move, but I'm pretty sure I cannot, like, really hoof it like I could if I were a human being. So, I am Smooches, the sentient frog, on my wedding day, being hounded by my high school bullies. And I have a remote-controlled toy car with which I get around. And because this is a dream, absolutely nobody blinks an eye at the fact that I am Smooches the frog on my wedding day. Which I'm imagining Smooches the frog in the, like, Build-A-Bear wedding outfit from the 90s, which I used to have a Build-A-Bear bunny. And I put her in, like, in a wedding dress with the, like, wedding veil that they used to have at Build-A-Bear. And she was, like, one of my absolute all-time favorite plushies. I love wedding aesthetics. I always have. So, for a note, your comfort item can be used one time for an instant success, but it has to fit the narrative, even within dream logic. For example, your teddy bear cannot just become a baseball bat, but it can become sentient and face-hug a monster to distract it for you. You could also roll your dice on a normal action to try to conjure a baseball bat, and if successful, you can give it to your teddy bear to use once with a guaranteed success. For most things, there's a failure success table. 1 to 2 is an absolute failure, 3 to 5 complicated success, 6 full success. So conjuring an item also, by the way, is one separate action from using it, because of the rapid fire back and forth. It'll probably still play pretty smoothly. And remember, this is a dream, so there's dream physics. All things are possible, but they can also fail. So let's see. Since I am both the GM and this, I'm setting the scene of, I think maybe in the beginning not aware that I'm a sentient beanie baby. You know, you think you're kind of normal. Perspective is a little bit weird, but when things are weird in a dream, it takes you a second to notice. And so, you know, I'm like prepping. Maybe I'm in a room at the wedding venue, getting prepared, getting a dress on, getting makeup done, not noticing that, like, maybe the limbs and proportions are not quite realistic since I am green, which is the frog. But I do not notice this in the beginning until I hear several probably familiar voices. The thing is, consciously, could I conjure up the voices of my high school bullies? Not really. But in my dream, I'll conjure up something, and my brain will tell me that's what they sound like. So familiar voices come up behind me, and instead of, dropped my lesbian dice. Instead of the maybe friendly tones of my, bridal party, I hear my gaggle of high school bullies. You hear them saying all sorts of god-awful things, laughing, snickering, being very backhanded, because that's more the type of sitch I think that would be fitting of this scenario. And I look into the mirror, and I am Smooches, the sentient beanie baby, in a Build-A-Bear wedding dress with a Build-A-Bear veil stuck to my head, probably with like a rubber band or something that I would have probably used to attach it to Smooches as a kid. Sitting on an RC, like, monster truck car with the controls in my hands, and that is the scenario. And I want to get out. I want to get away from them, but I also want them out of my wedding because it's supposed to be my wedding day. Hello. So I guess my immediate reaction is I drive my RV into one of their ankles. I don't know. Maybe if I can get them to want to leave, they will want to leave. So I'm gonna roll my dice to see if I am successful in, like, I don't know. There's like 4 of them, so I'm just gonna roll my dice and see if I can, fuck one's Achilles heel up or something. I got a 4. A 4 is a a 4 is a failure with a consequence. So I did drive at one of their feet. Unfortunately, I did grow up in a country that was very big on soccer. And I think she kicks the car with me on it into, into the mall. I'm a beanie baby. I don't think I can get hurt. But that is, that's not great. I did not try to use my comfort item as, like, for an immediate success, which now that I'm thinking about it, I could have, but that's also something that, like, happens when you're rapidly, like, thinking you're not going to be considering absolutely everything. So, that didn't work, and now they're making fun of me, which if I were the GM now, like, as a separate person, not rapidly going back and forth, you could probably explore that a little bit in more detail. Now as the GM, I get to roll the obstacle table. So while we narrate that I, Smooches the frog, get kicked into, this little wall of the wedding venue, then while they are like taunting me, and I am trying to make sure that I write, I get the truck back up, which like I am just a small beanie baby. Maybe I am struggling with this. The GM rolls the dice, and it's a 5. A new NPC appears, and boy, do they have bad news, or maybe they are the bad news. Please do not add another bully, and yet that is, I think, what would happen. Not only does the bully come in, plot twist, the bully is the other half of this wedding party. And I am set as Smooch as the Frog to get married to one of my bullies, which now the situation is not save my wedding day, get rid of these bullies. The situation has changed to I want to get the fuck out of here. Absolutely not. Which, okay, now I have to roll, like, I have to get the, let's get the truck back up. So now we're like, okay, they are all here. They are blocking the exit, and I'm going to try, I'm just going to try to hoof it, It's an RC. I don't have to be on top of it. I have the remote control. It can be following me. I'm going to try to absolutely hoof it between their legs and get out. I rolled a 3 again. It's not working. They are closing in on me. I did not even have the chance to get through their legs. Wow, this is very... I'm sure the bullying is continuing to go on. God knows what they're saying. God knows how they're reacting. Maybe even ganging up with the, like, other half of the wedding party. And now we're going to lean into full dream logic. Okay, we tried the instinct things. We tried to just run. Absolutely not. I'm going to take a page out of my notebook, and I'm going to try to manifest a baseball bat. A 1. Failure with a consequence. I did manifest a bat, but it's not a baseball bat. It's an actual bat. And now the actual bat, I'm Smooch as the Frog, right? I'm small. I think the actual bat has picked me up and is flying in circles in the room. So I am dizzy. I am nauseated. I am fighting for my life. Being carried by this bat. Well, below me there's 4 bullies, and the person who's supposed to be marrying, which also is a bully, are, I don't know, saying something taunting, laughing, whatever. I think laughing is at this point not even fully inappropriate. I don't even know if that counts as bullying so much as what a situation, And I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna try to hijack this bat by like pulling a ratatouille and trying to get on top of it to control it, I don't know, via the ears. Please give me a good roll. Oh my fucking god, why did I roll a 2? The bat drops me. I land on one of the bullies' heads. Now, this is just not a great place to be because these blondies had very thin hair. Not a lot to hold on to. I am scrambling. The others are laughing. They're making fun of me. I'm wearing a Build-A-Bear wedding dress. It's just, things are all over the place. There's chaos. I want to get away from these people. I do not want them to grab me. I'm going to try to ratatouille. I don't get to try to ratatouille the bully. It's not my turn. It's the GM's turn. Fuck. 1. The setting changes to its polar opposite. What this means is up to you. I was at my wedding venue. I am now... I don't think funerals are the opposites of weddings, frankly, I'm not going to lie. I am now at my divorce party. My my now ex, who I was about to marry and I'm now currently married and divorced, is at my fucking divorce party, as are all of my fucking bullies. So they are crashing my divorce party now. I am still Smooch as the Frog in a wedding dress, with an RC on this bitch's head. Except now we are in a club. So I'm going to try to ratatouille this bitch into smacking one of the other bullies. I don't know. If they maybe dissolve into a fight amongst themselves, maybe I can get away. What the fuck, lesbian dice? Why would you do this to me? I rolled another 2. Failure with consequence. She does smack somebody, but she smacks one of my guests, one of my friends. Maybe it's another sentient Beanie Baby. I do not know. I'm not saying that Beanie Babies can only hang out with other Beanie Babies. My other guest could best well be my actual IRL best friend, or it could be Gengar. Either way, they got smacked, which is unfortunate because now it also looks like I did that, and now I am torn between apologizing and scrambling on this bitch's head and trying to ratatouille her, which technically I did, but I also didn't. That was not me. She just figured out what I was trying to do, and she ratatouille'd herself, which is to say she controlled herself and made it look like I ratatouille'd her to smack my friend, which I did not. So now the taunting is continuing. I am very stressed. My shitty bully / ex is also at my fucking divorce party. You know what I'm gonna do? The bat is still flying around, by the way. I'm gonna try something, and it is I'm gonna try to teleport the fuck out of there. Please work. A 6! Oh my fucking god. Oh my god. Okay, oh my god. I have successfully teleported outside of the club. The night air is cold, it is fresh, it is quiet. You can hear the din of the club, but there's nobody around me, there's nobody here. And my RC car, I don't know, I have it remote control follow me because I have the remote, it's fine. The bat is not here, it is inside the club. The bullies are inside the club, Max inside the club. My friends will figure out their own way fucking home at this point. I do not care, it's fine. They're all grown plushies, I'm sure they can fend for themselves, and Gengar. And I'm out of this bitch. I'm out. I'm going home, and I'm locking the doors, and nobody can do anything to me. I think I mostly fixed the dream. Oh my fucking god. Oh, that was stressful. Obviously that would take a lot longer if there were 2 people narrating this. And I got very lucky to end up getting a 6 after such horrible rolls. There's some other ones that are more nightmarish. I could tell you guys some of the other nightmare scenarios. There's 6 nightmare premises to begin with. Obviously, you can also add or edit any of these when you're playing the game. 2 that I really, really like that I want to share with you are you are being hunted by something so much greater, so much more powerful, and so much more prepared for this than you are, which I think is a really interesting premise, and it happens a lot in nightmares. And then the other one, which I think is actually something that could be very cool to play with, you know, especially because of how different it is depending on who you roll that you're playing as. But one is there is something wrong with you. Something is happening to you that you do not yet understand and cannot control, but it is turning you into an otherworldly monster that is set on entirely devouring you and demolishing everything in sight. And you are the only one who can see it happening to try to stop it. And I feel like you know, not to like, I don't know, jerk my own dick, but like I feel like I came up with some really cool premises and some really cool settings that kind of change everything. And I think this is really fun. My personal favorite of the comfort items is the comfort item number 3, which is your first cell phone. Which depending on, you know, how old you are, like, you know, what that is, like, I think that's, I don't know. My first cell phone only had a, like, quote-unquote mom button, a dad button, and a 911 button. So, what to do with it? But it was brick. So, what to do with that? I don't know. But I think this is cool. I'm very proud of it. I hope you guys like it. You can pick up the game now for pay what you can, or free on itch.io or on Ko-fi. And I'm very excited to share this with you guys. All right. I beat the nightmare. I fixed it. Well, mostly I like ran, but that does not matter because to me, I'm out of the situation. I no longer give a shit. I'm gone. Plus it was my divorce party, so I don't have to deal with any of these consequences anymore. I divorced the fucker. So I'm out. And thank you. Thank you for listening to 10-Minute TTRPGs. I do want to see your games, even if they're just outlines or sketches or your ideas. I want to hear what your ideas for a game would be, you know, with this prompt or to like, you know, whatever comes to you, you know, Goodnight Desert, so many things that it could be. Or maybe you decided to use Goodnight Descent, the actual title that I misread. Who is to say, who is to know? If you want to play today's game, you can get in the link description. Please make sure to hit follow, subscribe, and the notification buttons, depending on what platform you're using to never miss a show. And if you can, either in the comments or review section, please leave us a sweet 5-star review or a sweet review of what you enjoyed. You can share the games with me on Twitter or Insta at TheCutestPatoot. You can also hit me up on other socials listed in the description or from my website linked below. While you're at it, of course, please check out any of my other shows on the network, also linked below, or my games. My games on cutestpatoot.itch.io. Remember, if you play a game on itch, you download a game on itch, you read a game on itch, please remember to also review them there or give them the nice 5-star thing. It helps boost visibility, which also helps sales, depending, you know? So it's really nice. I'll see you next month. And remember, if you can tell a story, you can make a game.